introduction to oils, and then we have plenty of questions to answer. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you everyone for being here. I get to talk about one of my favorite topics. So I'm a health coach. I'm interested in human health from all perspectives, not just the Western perspective, but from Eastern and nutrition. I've got a background in science, so I'm just a nerd, really. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, essential oils dropped into my life unexpectedly. Wasn't looking for them, but they completely took over my life. I was still teaching yoga at the time, and I found if I used oils when I was working one-on-one with people, we would get more achieved in our sessions. I could calm people down more quickly. I could de-stress them. I could help them with their digestive issues, as well as using the yoga. So it was another tool for work, really. And obviously all my family got oiled. And when I moved to South Africa and I decided I wasn't going to teach yoga anymore, essential oils and health coaching became more my thing. So I pretty much use them for everything. They are my medicine cabinet. I make body products with them. I clean my house with them. I even clean my toilet with them. I don't use any bleach or any chemicals in my home. I very, very occasionally take a paracetamol, but it's probably once a year. I always have this idea that I can go to nature first. Nature's medicine has always supported us since we've had a civilization. And then if that doesn't work, I can go to Western medicine, which is a bit more invasive because it tends to be synthetic chemicals or surgery. And trust me, if I have a car accident, I'm not going to get my oils out. I'm going to go and see a doctor. But I think they have their place. But I think we've become weakened by giving our authority over all the time to an expert. And so what I love about the oils I use doTERRA oils. Their whole mission is to empower us, the end user, with tools that we can use and feel really confident using. And then you also get access to things like resources, like books, which are doTERRA specific, so that you can deal with just about, say, 80% of the things that come into your weekly life. So headaches, tummy aches, infections, all sorts of stuff, right up to, I have an autoimmune disease and I've managed to not need medication. I manage it with nutrition and my oils. So they're not fluffy. And I think that's what I want to get across. They're very powerful. So if you think about, for example, peppermint, if you were going to make some peppermint tea, you would probably get a big handful of fresh peppermint, scrunch it up and put it in the teapot, big handful. But if you used dry peppermint, which is what you would get in a tea bag, peppermint tea bag, you only have maybe a teaspoon because it's stronger, it's more, what's the word I'm looking for? More concentrated. So we take that a step further with essential oils. If you wanted to use peppermint in your warm water, you can do that, but you would only need a drop, and that would be really potent because it's even more concentrated. So a little goes a long way. And the other thing, I don't know about you, but to get the same amount of active ingredient from peppermint tea as you get from a single drop of peppermint oil, you'd have to drink 24 cups. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't got bladder capacity for 24 cups of peppermint tea. And then the other thing I like about it is I can throw a bottle like that in my bag, and anywhere I go I can add it to water. I can use it to freshen my breath. If I've got a little bit of upset tummy, I can use it to aid that as well. So there's so many uses. I'm in Thailand at the moment, so I've been using peppermint in a spray to keep cool. And also if I get bitten and you get itchy skin, peppermint's really great for taking down some of that heat from a raised bite. So one bottle, probably 50 different uses. So instead of opening your medicine cabinet and everything falls out on top of you because you've got like 50 things in there for specific things, you can end up with 10 or 12 oils that do everything. So you had some questions, and I will try and talk directly to them as we go through. So they work on the physical body. So, for example, with my autoimmune disease, one of the physical things that manifests is disturbed digestion, so IBS type symptoms, and inflammation throughout the body. And so I can use essential oils to calm my digestive tract down and to help heal that. And I can also take essential oils, I take them in a capsule to help calm down body-wide inflammation. So that's on a physical level, but we're also emotional beings, as we know. And so I often use oils to create a shift in mood. So when you inhale an essential oil, within 20 seconds of taking that breath, it hits a part of the brain called the limbic system, where which is in control of fear, emotion, mood, and memory. And you can smell an essential oil, say like lavender, and the active ingredients of lavender trigger the brain to calm down. And then the brain sends its messengers throughout the whole body to say, hey guys, we don't need to be stressed, let's calm, it's nearly bedtime. And so everything calms down. So you have an emotional effect, and that's then triggering a physical effect. You might have the opposite. You might wake up in the morning and the alarm goes off and you're thinking, oh my goodness, is it morning already? And you might need something to lift your energy and your mood up. And so I would choose a citrus oil in this case, so something like orange or lemon, grapefruit, something really zesty, because the active ingredients of citrus oils are very stimulating and invigorating. So if you're feeling a bit down, you can use citrus oils to lift you up and get you started during the day. In fact, one of my favorite little blends, I don't know, does anyone here get like an energy and a mood slump around 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Yeah, a few of you, yeah. So good for you for being honest. So one of my favorite things to do, just before I go and put the kettle on and maybe go and have, raid the cupboard for some chocolate or something, I put a drop of orange and a drop of peppermint in my hands, just rub them together. And I'll just sit there for about a minute, breathing that in, because a craving only lasts 60 to 90 seconds. And that particular combination I find so uplifting, because the peppermint's very alerting and the wild orange is very, it just makes you feel like you're at the beach. And so those two together, and for that period of time, usually by the time I've taken 6 or 7 breaths, I've forgotten that I wanted to go and have some chocolate, and I can just get on with what I was doing. So those of you that are, habitually find yourself raiding the fridge about 10 past 3, that could be a little distraction for you. And then there are other sort of deeper emotional things that we might want to address. And so all of the essential oils, they're vibrational healers, really. So they vibrate at a certain level. We're vibrating at a certain level. Disease vibrates at a certain level, and then health at a higher level. So when we bring essential oils, for example, like frankincense, into our field, frankincense is really high vibrationally. It helps to lift us up out of that potential disease state. It's phenomenal for depression, frankincense, and ladies, and maybe gents as well. It's very, very gentle oil. It's one you can use neat, and it's super anti-aging. So every so often, I'll literally just cover my face. I'm 108. I'm not really, I'm 107. But it's a really wonderful anti-aging oil. So aging doesn't just happen on the face, it happens internally as well. So it's one of the oils that I take in my capsule for cellular health and inflammation as well. So I don't think you can eat your, Clarins anti-aging moisturizer, but you can this one. So yeah, when we bring in these high vibrational, these high frequency oils into our field, it lifts us up. So you're coming up out of that potential disease state. Things like rose, and rose is the highest vibration of anything that we have on the planet. So it's a phenomenal oil. I use them also when I want to ward off illness. That's very topical, isn't it? And what I love about doTERRA is we have single oils, so your peppermint and your lavender, but we also have pre-made blends. And I think when COVID hit last year, On Guard, which is our immune supporting blend, it sold out virtually worldwide. Everyone just stocked up and went nuts. It's not in that state anymore. Oh, lovely. So you can diffuse this, so popping it in a diffuser or an oil burner, and that's going to go into the room and help to kill off airborne germs. So if somebody does bring a cough or a cold home from school or home from work, it doesn't have to go around everybody. Some of you can just not get infected by that. I use this to clean kitchen surfaces in the home. It smells just like Christmas. It's phenomenal. And I take this is also in my morning capsule to support my immune function. So super versatile, and it's safe for everyone. So if you're using oils with your children or your grandchildren, we just dilute them. And kids are really intuitive. They don't waste time on things that don't work. And I love working with people with kids because they'll always say, oh yeah, my son, he always just comes and asks for that, or my daughter always wants that at bedtime. And so they haven't learned yet to be skeptical of Mother Nature like we all have, potentially. They trust their experience. And so if they take something and they rub it on their tummy because they have a tummy ache and the tummy ache goes away, they trust that experience, and then they'll come and ask for it. They rub it on, it clears up really quick, and off they run. Saying that, there's a whole range of children's blends. My favorite one is Brave. I always use this before I talk about oils, whenever I'm going to do a presentation, and I've done hundreds, but I still get a little anxious because I want to do a nice job. I take my Brave and I just put a little bit behind my ear, down the side of my neck. So I've got 2 big blood vessels here, so that's going to go up into my brain nice and quickly and make me feel a little bit more courageous. And I just love the smell of it. But they do a whole range of 7 for children, so everything from digestive support to make them feel calm. So there's some that affect the body more, and then they have some that affect more their mood and their mental health as well. So doTERRA are very keen on children. They're all about the family. And then I guess one of my other favorites, very topical at the moment, as well as the On Guard for immune support, is supporting mental health. And I think as we come out of lockdown, we're going to start to see probably 5 years, is my prediction, of some really difficult journeys for people as they sort of re-emerge and try and get back to whatever normal is. So Adaptive Blend was another blend that they designed because they don't just want to get oils for, just to have a big list of oils that they stock. They always look for usage. So they look at what is there a need for. There's a need for mental health support. So their scientists get together and they figure out what are the best oils, what's the best chemistry that we can put together from these very natural products that's going to support that problem. And so this blend is for mood support. So mood support can go off in terms of you might get very anxious or you might get very depressed. You might swing between both. And mind support, so you may have trouble focusing and concentrating, and you might have trouble sleeping and switching the brain off. So, you can't switch it on when you need it, and you can't turn it off when you need it to go to bed. And Adaptive, honest to goodness, they should rename this 2020, because I think I got through bottles and bottles of this last year, being stranded in South Africa away from my son, and just lots going on. I just inhale it. I put it on my diffuser at night time. I was even sleeping with this, and it comes in a really beautiful little touch roller. Sort of, you can see that it's got a ball at the end, so you can pop these on your pulse points. I'm going to smell lovely. I've got Brave and Adaptive on, and then pop it in your bag or in your pocket and take it with you. So you've always got it when you're just feeling a bit overwhelmed. And I think as we go back out into the world, I would not be surprised if a lot of people have a little bit of social anxiety. I was talking to my parents on Sunday. They've barely been out of the house for a year. They're in their 80s. And I'm trying to cajole them into, like, you know, you have to go out, you have to start, you know, doing something, otherwise you're going to become reclusive. And so I've been suggesting they get their adaptive out, because obviously I've given them all the oils, just to help with that re-emerging when they've been so used to being at home alone. That's going to be very supportive for them. Anything else, Olga, or is that enough of an introduction? Maybe we'll get to some questions.
So I think everyone can unmute yourself, and if you have questions, please do ask. And if you think your questions haven't been answered, like I know Jane had a few questions, so please do.
Is that the list of 7? Who's had 7 questions?
Yeah, yes, Jane.
Oh, I love people like you, Jane. You're a girl after my own heart.
Yeah, please do.
You've answered them all, though. Really, I would like to know the name of this firm, though. I didn't catch it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's doTERRA, DOTERRA.
Right, that's great.
And it just means a gift of the earth.
Right, that's I've never seen that make before. I've always used infusers, but I've never used them. I didn't realise you could just put a drop of peppermint in water. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, this is something just to be a little cautious with. Not all brands, you can't take them all internally, because unfortunately most essential oil companies stretch their oils to make them go further.
Right. So only this company.
Yeah. So this one, they're quite unique. They are actually, it's strange because people haven't ever heard of them, but they're the industry leader. They're the biggest essential oil company in the world, and their oils are the most tested. And so they're not only safe to use internally, most of them, they're actually recommended to be used that way as well.
Right.
But yes, the drop in water or in a capsule or under the tongue, and it's really, really fast.
Yes.
Are they organic?
They're beyond organic. Organic only governs how something's grown. But of course, adulteration happens after growing and distilling. But yes, they would not want any pesticides in their oils, because then it would fail all their tests. So they're beyond organic. They don't label them organic because they work with small scale farmers, and the cost of those farmers having to apply for organic licenses would basically put them out of business. So they know that their testing system would pick up any malpractices in the growing of their oils anyway. So they don't even ask their growers to break the bank and do that.
And where are they grown?
All over the world. So we source from 45 different countries where they grow best. So if you grow lavender in a greenhouse, and you feed it and you water it and you keep all the pests away and you keep the temperature the same, that plant actually isn't going to produce very good quality oil, because the oils are their immune system. So if it's protected, it doesn't need to waste energy making good quality oils. Where they grow in harsh conditions, where there's a lot of threat, there's a lot of maybe scarcity of nutrition, where there's lots of pests, those places produce phenomenal oils. So for example, frankincense is grown in Oman and Somalia. Like, how anything grows there, I do not know. It just looks like rock. And yet the oil that we get from the boswellia trees in these countries is some of the most diverse and complex chemistry that we can find in a natural product. I think I answered your question. Yes, so 45 different countries. So I can go off on a tangent.
Yes, I just
bring me back.
That I know you said they are therapeutic grades. Yeah.
Yes. So they're certified pure tested grade. So they go through a battery of tests before they leave the distillation unit, when they arrive for processing, and then they also go off for third-party tests with a separate company. If they fail any of them, they just release that oil into the open market, and it's bought by another company, because they're looking for purity, because without that you don't get the therapeutic benefits. If you stretch an oil, you lose the therapeutic benefits. And some you've probably seen things like deep heat, for example, and it's got some essential oil sounding things in it, but it's basically petrochemicals with these synthetic copies added in. So they'll take something like peppermint, they'll work out what is the main active ingredient, they'll manufacture that in a laboratory, and then they'll add it to a product. But that's got an isolate, so it's an isolated element. But of course peppermint's got 20 plus different things in it, and they're all needed for that main ingredient to do its job best and to have the fewest side effects. So we find when companies try to copy nature in this way, we get side effects and we get issues and we get less effective results. Can't beat Mother Nature. I mean, she made you. When you look at what she can make as a human being, we really think we can do better than that.
Oh, well, I've got a few issues with that one.
We haven't got time to go into psychotherapy.
Claire,
Yes.
Before, I just know lavender, tea tree, these are the ones that I can do neat. Then I learned just from you that frankincense another. No? So maybe later on, when you explain the questions, just to give us a few oil that we can use neat so that we don't burn.
So those three, anything that's got certain chemistry. So the chemistry that we're looking for are very, very gentle compounds called esters. So if there are esters in it, you can put it on your skin. Roman chamomile is another one. There's actually quite a few if they're pure, because often it's not the essential oil that's causing a skin irritation, it's what's been added to it. So it's the filler oil, the thing that's made it stretch. Most people, we would say, start by diluting, because there's lots of good reasons to dilute. Make sure oils last longer, it's one of them. And if you've got any sensitive skin, if you're using them on children or pets, you're going to dilute them, or elderly skin, which tends to be a little fragile. And then everyone's a little bit different. So I use a blend called Zengest for any IBS type symptoms. I don't tend to get them anymore, but when I did, personally, if I dilute that and rub it on my tummy, I don't get as good a result as if I use it neat. One of my good friends is the complete opposite. If she uses it neat, she gets no response. If she dilutes it, she gets a better response. And so it's just like yoga teaches us to tune in to our own experience, so does using oils, because what works for you won't work for somebody else always, or it might work but in a slightly different way. And that's part of the fun, I think, is getting to explore yourself and what works for you and what doesn't. There are a few oils we would always dilute. Citrus, if you're going out in the sun, because there's certain compounds in citrus oils that if you go out in the sun, they can leave you with quite a nasty red rash. But it's not just the oils. If you eat an orange, say it's a really juicy orange and it's all dribbled down your chin, and then you go and sunbathe, that will do it as well. So it's not unique to the oil. And then there are some what we call hot oils that can be a bit skin irritating. They tend to be things like oregano and clove. You're not going to want to put oregano neat on your skin because you will smell like pizza. Not really a perfume. Clove.
Unless you're Italian.
Unless you're Italian, then you might like smelling like pizza. Clove, I have used neat in the mouth, because obviously it's great for things like toothache.
Yes.
But it makes sure, your eyes water. If you do use something neat and you get a skin irritation, there's two great tricks for making it go away. The first one is to just cover it with an oil, like a heavy oil. It can be coconut oil, it can be olive oil. sunflower oil from the kitchen, anything, and that's going to help dilute it away. And then the other thing you can use is any dairy. So if you ingest, so say you think, oh, I'll just take a drop of frankincense and pop it under my tongue, and the lid falls off and you end up with, a mouthful, just get a glass of milk, ice cream, yogurt, anything, and that's going to help as well. So dairy or oil. Same if you get it in your eye, don't use water, it makes it worse. Just flush it out with some coconut oil or some milk. Good, it's a good excuse to get the ice cream out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Any other questions I haven't addressed
What would you
already?
recommend for digestive problems and anti-inflammatory?
Okay, so as somebody who had IBS for 25 years, I would start with Zengest. So this oil is what stopped me being a yoga teacher and redirected me to become a health coach and essential oil specialist, because it took all my symptoms away. I know it sounds like a crazy statement, like I should be, at a circus selling snake oil.
If it's just like indigestion and that kind of thing, would that also deal with that?
Anything. So diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, heartburn, burps, backache. I used to get backache from my IBS as well. And a first inflammation oil would be frankincense. I'll start with that. But we also could use turmeric essential oil. It's different than the herb. And a rather unique little oil called copaiba, which is a phenomenal anti-inflammatory. So that's
What
the
is
other.
that called?
Copaiba, COPAIBA. I'm basically telling you everything that's in my morning capsule.
So have you made these capsules yourself, or do you buy those from the company?
You can buy empty capsules from the pharmacist, or I get mine from doTERRA. It just comes in my order, and you literally just pull them apart, put your oils in, stick the lid back on, and down it goes.
Ah.
Yeah, really simple. And they're made from a vegetable kind of material, so they dissolve once they hit the stomach, and then they release their oil.
Okay.
So it's just easier, because some of them really don't taste very good. So you can just put it under your tongue or add it to water, but some of them not very tasty.
Yeah. So anyone have more questions?
I wanted to know if there was anything that you would rub on, or any oils you'd use for. All my boys do a lot of physical activity. They're in triathlons and marathons. They do big cycle rides, and they're getting a bit old now, and they hurt more.
Yes. So I know I've got a 22-year-old son. He's a ski teacher, so he skis literally all day, every day, and his knees struggle sometimes with that. So he went off this season with 3 of these. It's called Deep Blue Rub. Now, Deep Blue Oil Blend comes as an oil, but I think for throwing in the kit bag, this is just so easy. And I've got a frozen shoulder at the moment, so I went to my bedroom and I got this specially because you asked this question, because I've just been rubbing it on my shoulder every night. So it's anti-inflammatory. It's also analgesic, so it's going to relieve pain, and it speeds up tissue repair. So if they do get injured, then they bounce back quicker. I actually use it pre-exercise as well.
Okay.
Because I'm not as young as I was.
Yeah.
And I know what Olga's yoga classes are like too, so you might want to try it before yoga class. But no, and it's a really familiar smell. It smells a bit like deep heat, but without all the nasty petrochemicals. And I think the lads kind of, if it doesn't feel like, if you give them lavender, they're like, I'm not using that smells like grandma. But you give them Deep Blue, it's very masculine, it's effective, and it just looks like anything that they would throw in their sports bag anyway. So it's a really nice route in. And it's great for arthritis. So as they get a little bit older, they can also use it right up until, they retire.
What else
Sorry,
would you recommend for arthritis?
Is it rheumatoid arthritis or osteo?
Well, it's just my knee. Well, I don't know actually. It's probably osteo, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, if it's inflammatory, then those inflammatory oils that we talked about before, you can take them in a capsule and you can also use them topically. And then I would top it off with the deep blue rub or the deep blue oil. I've got a colleague who has rheumatoid arthritis, and she got into oils as a last-ditch attempt to avoid surgery because she had so much pain mostly in her knees. And not only has she managed to avoid surgery, she is pain-free, completely pain-free. First time in donkey's years. So she's quite evangelical about the oils for pain. My dad has arthritis. He uses deep blue. Lemon actually can be, if you've just got like a little area, like a knuckle, just putting lemon on it is really powerful. My mummy prefers to use lemon.
What did your friend use for her osteoarthritis then?
Well, she did, it was rheumatoid.
Rheumatoid, rather.
Yeah, hers was rheumatoid. So she took the anti-inflammatory oils internally. She also applies them topically, and she takes the supplements. So doTERRA do supplements as well. And there's a big anti-inflammatory component in the supplements because we know inflammation is the root cause of all degenerative disease. So we've got to tackle that as a society. I take them as well as part of my autoimmune disease treatment plan, and it's kept me off meds. So yeah, they're great. They're the only supplements I've ever taken that I actually noticed the difference on. I don't know about you. I used to have like a kitchen cupboard full of supplements. I've always been a bit of a dabbler with supplements, but never ever felt different. So you go on blind trust that they're actually doing something. But these ones, my nails immediately get stronger, my hair gets thicker, and that's just the external signs. So I know it's doing me lots of good, and I sleep better, have better mood, which my husband's very happy about, and less pain. Yeah. So, and it's simple, you know, you put your oils on in the morning, you put some in your capsule, take your supplements, and you go off and have a pain-free, happy day.
Amazing, thank you.
You're so welcome, Jane, anytime. Any other questions?
Yes, I had a question about what to use if you really love relaxing bath.
Yes. So, yes, if you just tip oils into the bath, oil and water doesn't mix that well, so it's going to sit on the surface, and then you end up with a ring of it round your tummy, which isn't really what we want. So the skin is such a great entry point for oils into the bloodstream, and when we're in a nice hot bath, the pores open up and we can get really good access. So you have to be a little bit careful not to use oils that are going to be strong. So for example, I would not put deep blue in the bath because it's hot and cold, and sensitive areas like your genitals are not going to thank you. So I would use, first of all, I would put the oils in a big handful of Epsom salts with a little bit of bicarbonate of soda, because that's really detoxing. It'll help draw out some of the toxins in the body. The Epsom salts are really high in magnesium, so they're going to help your muscles relax. And then you choose oils that you want to have the feeling of. So if you're having a bath at bedtime, you would choose things like lavender and cedarwood, Serenity Blend, which is like the sleeping blend, because you want everything calm and relaxing and getting you to drop into a nice deep sleep. If you tend to have a bath in the morning, you don't want that because you've got to go to work. So you might choose oils that are a bit more uplifting, maybe lemon and rosemary, which is like makes you feel really alert and perky. If it's post-exercise and you're thinking, oh, deep blue, I've been told to avoid that one, you might choose things like lavender, marjoram, which is great for sore muscles, and peppermint, a little bit of peppermint, not too much. because that's going to help with the muscle relaxing and taking away some of those aches and pains.
What about black pepper?
Oh, love black pepper. Very
That's good.
heating.
That's very good for muscles, isn't it?
Yes, because it's heating. So anything heating is going to open up blood flow. And, you know, that's going to get the blood flow, it's going to bring all the nutrition to heal damaged muscles and then take away all the debris that you don't want to get stuck in that muscle.
You get your Epsom salts and the bicarb, and then you just add the oils to that?
Yeah, 4 or 5 drops. Yeah.
And
you get the benefit of aromatic as well. So it's the steam is coming up, you're inhaling it too. So you're getting all those emotional benefits of the oils as well as the physical.
How much bicarb? Sorry.
Oh, I usually do maybe a cup of Epsom salts to about 1/4 cup of bicarb.
Thank you.
But I like to indulge. I mean, I'll be in there an hour. You don't have to use that much. You could even just use half of it. I used to make like a big tub mixed up and then scoop it out and then add the oils in my hand so that I could choose different oils at different times of the day rather than making up a big tub with the oils.
Okay.
And then, you know, you suddenly decide, oh, actually, I don't want a bath at bedtime. I want one in the morning. Oh, but I've only got, these are all soaked in lavender. So make up the mix, have it next to the bath and just add.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good question, that one, Olga. Yeah. Oh, the other thing you can do to put them, to get them through the water is just to add them to milk, full fat milk. So you can be like Cleopatra and have your milky bath. You won't get the benefits of like the Epsom salts being a muscle relaxant. You won't get that same benefit, but it's again a good way of making sure it blends and doesn't sit on the surface.
Jane, 1 cup of milk?
1 cup of milk.
Okay.
4 drops of oil would be plenty.
Thank you.
I can only see the name Galaxy Tab A, but I think you had a question.
Jackie.
Oh, is that me?
Did you? Yeah, that's you, lovely.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's not for me, but if people are having trouble sleeping, what would you recommend to help people sleep?
So having a diffuser by the bed that you can set the timer on is really good. So I have a 12-hour diffuser next to the bed, and it comes on and off intermittently, but it's long enough to last the whole night through, which is good. And you can start with some of the simple oils like lavender and cedarwood. They're great. If it's not quite enough, you can use the Serenity blend, which was designed for sleep.
Okay.
I also like to use juniper berry. So if you're somebody who can relate to this, you lie down in bed and you can't switch your brain off. Just me?
No.
Oh, it's you. Oh, good. I'm glad it's not just me. Juniper berry, and literally I put it on my forehead and it's like an off switch. And I sleep like a baby. So that's by my bed too.
Yeah.
Right. Lovely. Okay. And coconut. Oh, sorry.
A coconut.
Coconut. I love the smell of coconut. As an essential oil, what is the benefit of a coconut oil?
Okay, so first off, coconut oil is a carrier oil, so it's dense. It's got a completely different kind of physical makeup. So when you ingest an essential oil, they don't go into the energy cycle. So you can't get fat from essential oils because they don't get converted into energy. Whereas coconut oil does, just like lard or butter would as well. So it's thick and it's dense. So when you use coconut oil, say on the skin, because it's dense, if you're using it as a carrier oil, it's going to slow down how quickly that very small, light essential oil is going to get into the bloodstream. So that can be really useful. So say you've got a cold sore on your lip and you want the essential oil to stay right here because you don't have a cold sore on your big toe. So that you don't want the oil down there, you want it to stay here. If you put your essential oil, like I use Melissa, but you can use On Guard. If you put it in some coconut oil and stick it on the lip, it's going to stay there because it's going to slow down how quickly that essential oil is going to get into the bloodstream and then around your body. The other benefit is because it's heavy, it stops evaporation. So essential oils are very volatile. That's why we can smell them almost as soon as we open a bottle. It sort of comes out like a genie. The carrier oil, the coconut oil, because it's dense, stops some of that evaporation. So over time, you actually get more into the body. So it can seem counterintuitive. If I dilute it, I actually get more. So you get it slower release, and you get more a percentage on getting into the body as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
What would you recommend for cold sores?
There's lots of things. Anything antiviral. So the most antiviral oil I've got is Melissa, but it's got a price ticket like a Rolex watch. So you don't have to start with that one. On Guard, which is the immune blend, is highly antiviral. Lemon, tea tree, again highly antiviral. What else? Those are the ones I tend to go for. Oregano, but it's things like heck. So definitely one to dilute, but you can use oregano as well, if you don't mind smelling like a pizza.
Yeah. Oregano is nice to add to your cooking if you like this. Yes, I use that in my cooking sometimes, just a couple of. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah, we're nomadic at the moment, so we're living out of six suitcases going around the world during a pandemic. It's really sensible. But I cook with my essential oils, so I haven't got to keep investing in herbs and spices that I'm then going to leave behind. So I'll use them instead. So I've got things like thyme and oregano and marjoram, and they just go in the dinner.
Yes. Yeah.
Really
you only use the one brand, the one make, because you obviously are quite heavily into one particular brand.
Yeah, I use these because I've got results from them. I've dabbled in oils before, and they smelt nice, but to me they were only ever a smell. They were a nice perfume. But when I started getting into these and having a science background and sort of diving into the science, it's like, oh, these are they do so much more, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're not messed around with in any way. Like I said, some of them really don't smell good, so they're certainly not perfumes. Some of them do.
And where's the best place for us to get them in the UK then?
Olga. Well, actually, you can get them direct from doTERRA. That's what we encourage most people to do. They have a warehouse, I think it's near Heathrow, and so you can order online and they'll just send them direct to you.
Oh, you asked me.
Super easy. Well, Olga can set you in the right direction there for sure. And that's the really nice thing is then you don't need to go and find somebody. You just go online, go on your website and order what you want. We also have a community, an online community. So when people do set up their own account, you get to join our users group as well. And there's over 500 people in that. So if you've got a question that we haven't covered today, you can go in there. There's back copies of classes I've taught. There's an oil library on every oil. And there's a lot of skill and knowledge in that group as well. So if you've got a question, can I use this oil with my dog? 20 people will jump in with their recommendations. So it's a really good supportive community, so that you don't feel like the only oil weirdo.
Does it also have contraindications for any medications you may already be taking?
Yeah, there will be a few, but not many. The biggest one that we always talk about is if you're on warfarin. So if you're taking a blood thinner, if you're on warfarin, you've got to be really careful even with what you eat, because food can do the same thing as the drug. Things like fish oil, for example, does exactly, it thins the blood like warfarin does. So if you take something like Deep Blue, then you're always going to be balancing your medication with your oils. And it's not that you can't take them together, but you need to be consistent. So if you're taking warfarin every day and you want to use deep blue topically, you want to use it every day so that you're not getting these wild fluctuations, and make sure you're talking with your doctor about that as well. But that's the main one. If you're about to go into surgery and you're not supposed to have anything that will thin the blood, they'll tell you not to take vitamin E, not to take omega-3 supplements. And again, you might want to just have 2 weeks off oils before you go into surgery. But that's quite common with a lot of products and supplements as well. But generally what we see is people are like, it's like a seesaw. So they are maybe tilted like this, and they're taking a lot of synthetic medication on this side and no natural medicine. And then they start to introduce some natural medicine. So they're both doing the same thing. So it means we might be able to reduce some of the prescription medicine. And you might end up like this, a little bit of prescription medicine, a little bit of natural medicine. And you might continue, and you might end up there, where you manage your condition completely with natural medicine and no synthetic medicine. But it's a process, and it's not necessarily the goal to be completely off medication if it's working. But if you're getting a lot of side effects with your medication that you think, I'd like to reduce this because actually it's wrecking my gut and my liver, then going through this process of starting to replace some of the dosage with natural medicine, with your doctor guiding you as well, you can then start to reduce your medication. And then the other thing, many of us need one medication for an illness, but that has a side effect, and we then take a medication for that. This is where oils can be really helpful, because you can use oils for the side effect that have no impact negatively on your gut or your liver. Yeah, I think that is the big takeaway for me. Okay, I might need this because it's life-saving, but it is not good for my digestion, because if you look at any of the labels inside the packet and you look at the side effects, it's nearly always gut related. So I don't need to take another medication for that. That's going to have another side effect. I can use my digestive blend, or my peppermint, or my ginger, or my turmeric.
So on the website, does it have certain conditions that does it list certain conditions and then recommendations of certain oils, or?
No, because you cannot make those sorts of claims unless they've been double-blind, scientifically trialed, and of course nobody is paying for that. The only people who do double-blind trials are the pharmaceutical drug companies. doTERRA have started doing some clinical trials. Adaptive has been clinically trialed. So the FDA in America will come down hard on them if they started making claims. So it's anecdotal, but personally, that's as powerful as scientific. It's just that the science hasn't tested it yet. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. After 25 years of IBS, I know this works, this Zengest, because I know my body. And the fact that I've been able to manage my autoimmune disease with nutrition and oils, that also tells me I'm on the right path. I have no symptoms now.
So what would you recommend for thyroid problems?
Ooh, that's my speciality. You and I need to have a chat, I think. It's big. It's a big topic. So yeah, I am an autoimmune protocol coach. So this is my niche.
Claire, what are your favorite combos? You'd like to know? Because, yeah.
Okay. It all depends. But if you want to sell your house on the first viewing, because this happened to us, lavender with lime in the diffuser. That's a great combination. I also love frankincense with wild orange if you're going to have a gathering. That's just it sets a really beautiful energy for a gathering. There's a blend called Citrus Bliss, which has all of the citrus oils in it. And I like to blend that with the respiratory blend. Don't ask me why, but those two together. if you wanted to do it and you didn't have those two blends, you could kind of mimic it with the orange and peppermint, but it's not quite as good. What else do I love?
Can I say what I like?
Lemon and rosemary. I'll show you my desk. Okay, so this is just a tiny number of my oils. So they're always around, and they're never in the room that I want. And I just go for what I like. I like Litsea cubeba. I love lemongrass. I mean, that's a great cleanser. I love a blend called Motivate when I'm procrastinating. I stick that in the diffuser and I just bash through my to-do list. Yeah,
perfume there, just to be a little refreshing as a perfume.
Yeah.
What would be your
What would be neroli.
Neroli. Okay.
Love neroli.
Yes, it's a lovely smell. Neroli.
Yeah, I love neroli. When you say Lucia Kebaba lemongrass, that one I miss it. What was the first Kebaba?
Lemongrass, Litsea. I don't think you can buy it. Litsea cubeba is quite rare, so you can't buy it. We got it as a freebie one month.
Okay, that's okay.
Lemongrass. I love lemon with rosemary for focus, and because it makes the kitchen smell really clean. So if you've got the smell of roast potatoes, which we always seem to have in our house, the smell of roast potatoes, diffusing lemon and rosemary is really cleansing. But I love them all. It's like asking me to choose my favourite child. I've only got one child. That's easy. Anything else I can help you with?
Is this going to be expensive? Is it, if we're poor,
it's an expensive hobby.
Is it? Oh, really?
Well, let me put it in perspective for you. If you got a 15ml bottle of lavender, there's 250 drops in there. And if you've got a bee sting or a bite or something, or you've got an ear infection, you only need 1 drop. So you could have a bite or a sting every day for 9 months and you'd have plenty. So price per dose is really, really cheap, but price for a whole bottle, can be. They do vary depending on the ease of getting the oil out of the plant. So from lemongrass, I think, is the cheapest oil, right up to Melissa, or actually rose now, is the most expensive oil.
What sort of money are you talking about for Melissa and rose then?
Let me start with lemongrass, which is I think £7. Rose, £475.
Oh, can I have one, darling, please?
Because it's so hard to get out of the petals.
Oh.
Yeah. So most rose that you'll see is synthetic because you're not paying that for it.
No.
But the good news is most oils are not in that bracket. Most of them are sort of around 20 to £30 maximum. And if rose is a phenomenal oil. I mean, if you've got skin infections, all kinds of things, it's really, really an amazing antibacterial, glandular fever, all kinds of things like that. There's usually something else with a similar chemistry that you can use for a fraction of the cost. And so we always say, just start with the cheapest thing. And if that doesn't work, then try something else. But usually those cheaper ones are just as good, not almost as good. But if you've got rose, you won't use it because it's so expensive. You won't take the lid off.
I was going to say, it sounds a lot of money. Is that 15 mils?
That's actually for 5 mils.
Oh, only 5. Wow.
Yeah, it is so precious. And that's the trouble. People then don't use it because they buy it, or maybe they buy it.
That's why perfume's expensive if you have rose oil in them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you don't need the perfume, my dear. We'll get you something else as a perfume.
I might.
You might, yeah.
I love patchouli oil.
I just wondered if it's going to be an expensive, I guess initially it's a bit of an investment then, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends what you want to use them for. If you want to have, for example, just a natural medicine cabinet that covers things like digestive upset, headaches, aches and pains, infections. You can do that for about just over £100. If you want to just deal with a boil on your bum, you can probably do that for about 15.
I just want to show you my set, which I got this one. So I've got few, what I have, 10 top oils here, and this is about £250.
Yeah, you had the bigger bottles with the diffuser, but you can get the same oils smaller, and that's a cheaper entry point. But it opens you up to all the education as well. And Sissy Mac, sorry, I can only see what you've got written on your screen. You said you liked patchouli.
Yeah.
Like, for example, on Monday, I went into our community group and I did an addition to the oil library. So I go in every week and I pick an oil and I talk about it. And this week it was patchouli. So you would learn all about every oil that you're either curious about, is this an oil I maybe ought to explore? Or it might be an oil that you've got, but you haven't used. So there's always one, like, no one uses oregano until they get a verruca, a wart, a fungal toenail, or an infection, because it's not a perfume. It's just not. So people always end up with oregano left over, and you think, well, what am I going to do with that oil? So going into our oil library and getting some information about how you might use it can be useful.
Pizzas?
Pizzas, yeah. But not too much, otherwise you have to throw the pizza away because it's just overdone.
Okay, thank you so much, Claire, for...
Oh, you're so welcome. That's I could talk about it all day.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Very.
They were 18, Julian. Yes.
That's been very good, thank you.
Oh,
You're very
excellent.
welcome.
Thank you so much.